We work for the Mission to Seafarers. We're volunteers for the Mission to Seafarers, and over the last couple of years since we've been working as volunteers, we realise that people just are completely unaware of what seafarers really are and how much we rely on them and how much sacrifice and challenges they make in order to supply the world with their trade. And so we felt that we needed to do something. So we talked about it for a while and came up with the idea of putting signs on our caravan and starting a Seafarers Welfare Awareness campaign. We've planned a 3-month trip. We're almost halfway through. We're heading up the coast towards Brisbane, and then we intend cutting back across inland back home.
I was talking to a young lady on Sunday, and she said, we were talking inland a bit from where we are now, and she said, why are you coming inland? Because we're a long way from the sea, it doesn't really affect us. That is the point we're trying to make. It does affect everybody. It doesn't matter where you live, it's what you use every day comes by sea. It's transported later perhaps, but also farmers produce things and it goes back to the coast where it's then taken away. So it does affect everybody. Until I mentioned this, she hadn't thought of it like that.
We went 8 months on a trip, and that was in 2010, and in 2011 we planned on going on another trip. And instead of us doing that, we had a new young priest arrive. He said to us, there's a port down the road, ships come there, and in that port there's nothing but silos, nothing. When the men come there, no one looks after them, they can't go anywhere, they can't do anything. Will you look after them? Will you start something? And we said, no, we're going to travel. But somehow or other our ideas were changed, and we ended up setting up a Mission to Seafarers there. And we now have a centre behind our church where we take them in. And we now have a little minibus which we take to the wharf, and we take the men on trips to our centre or shopping or wherever they like. But they come from all over the world. We've got seafarers mainly from the Philippines, but we do get them from Europe, from all parts of Asia, from the Middle East. But I guess we've had a few that have really touched us. One was when a young cook, his little 4-year-old daughter died while he was at sea. And of course that was a tremendously traumatic time for him and his wife. We still keep in touch with he and his wife, and we've actually been to the Philippines and met his wife and met some of the family over there. That was a very difficult one. We've also had the case of young men who've been only perhaps 2 weeks at sea, and they've arrived at our port and they've been really depressed, and you say, how long have you been at sea? And they say 2 weeks, and you know they've got another 10 months or so to go, and they're lonely and they're homesick. So we've tried to help those men, and again we've been invited to weddings for some of these young fellas. They call us Mummy June and Daddy Geoff. And we've got family now, we feel, all over the world. Don't know how many times they've said, come quick, and we've gone to the computer or whatever they have, and you know, there's my new baby. You know, the first time they've seen their child, and tears will be running down their cheeks, and you can just sort of join in their joy of being able to see their child for the first time. Or they get news that, you know, one member of their family has actually died, maybe a father, or, you know, and it can be really, really hard for them. So that communication is essential, and we try to give them as much as we can. If they can't leave the ships, we sometimes take the Wi-Fi system on the board and leave it there overnight. Uses a lot.
It does.
Because
Catches us out a bit. Sometimes it gets a little more than we anticipate,
but
financially.
yeah, but we do find that some men can't leave the ship because of the work they're doing. So this gives them an opportunity to, access the communication, and they really appreciate that.